Whoa, what the fuck is that? Literally, what the fuck? If you guys know who to watch, it's so powerful. Like everything you need, it's literally free. Everything. But you just gotta know where to find the information. And for the most part, if you guys are on YouTube, which you are if you're here, YouTube is a search engine. It's not even like a streaming platform or all that. It's a search engine, right? And so if you want to learn anything, you just type it in here and you find it. And it'll give you a solution or idea of a solution, right? And so what I'm gonna give you is my, I guess, top three people that I listen to on a regular basis. Let's make sure we pop that collar. My God. So I'm gonna just give you the three real quick. So if you want, you could go and you go watch them. So one is Forbidden Knowledge. Two is Alex Ramosi. And I will argue right now, like I have others, but right now I've been also listening to damn, there's so many, right? Damn. Um, I've been listening to Alex Becker. Now, Alex Becker is a secret third right now. And the reason why is the way Alex Becker could say the same thing over again, but it's different each time. It's a skill, right? It's a super skill. Now, every time I watch his video, there's so much value to gain. And I know of him because he had what was it? Market Hero or something. He said it was a failed company. That was actually what put me. I mean, I knew about Alex Becker before that, but that's what really put me onto him because I joined his Market Hero thing back in the day, and that's where I learned email marketing for real for real. And so I learned email marketing from this guy, like damn near a decade ago, and it's still something that is valuable to me today. And so that was that wasn't free because it was Market Hero, but now the stuff that he has now is free, right? A lot of the times, and because of what he's on now, he does. He has what's that called? Um, damn, Hyros. There we go. He has Hyros now, which is basically a tracking software that allows you to track your data better across all ad platforms, right? And so that is his main baby nowadays. And so he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And that was all through hard work, literally. And so the same way you see him as he is now is the same way he's been for a decade basically. And so he hasn't changed. He's the same person practically with the money, without the money, right? And so what I like about Alex Becker is he's just real. He's just real as fuck. He just tells you what it is and you either do it or you don't. Well, that's your fault basically at that point. And so I like listening to people who just are brutally honest and they just share what they know. And Alex Becker is definitely one of those people. And so, again, in case you guys didn't know, my name is Emmanuel Velasco. Sometimes I talk about some interesting topics on the internet. But I'm on a mission to help 70 to 100 people learn everything I know from mindset to business and beyond so they could each help another 70 to 100 people do the same. And so, if you're looking to be one of those 70 to 100 people, I guess text me mentor. All right, text only, no calls. It's a real number right here. This is the phone that I use. And the number is 737-864-0824. Had to remember it. 737-864-0824. So text me there if you want to be part of the 70 to 100 and make sure you text me mentor, the three mentors, if you will. And so let's just move on to the next one. Now, Alex Hermosi and Alex Becker are relatively, I wouldn't say similar, but they they have a similar style, if you will. What I like about Alex is like again, like I have his books right here somewhere. So behind the speaker, of course, is his three books right there. And so I'm a big fan of Alex because of again, very practical steps. Now you're getting into practicality, right? So Alex Becker gives you like the overview, if you will. Alex Ramosi, he gives you the technical side of things. He will literally give you the step by step. Now, these books cost me basically $100. The game that they have in them is 100 million plus dollars of gain right there in those books. The green book that you saw made 105-ish million in about a weekend. So again, these are proper people to listen to, right? And so when it comes down to your mentors who you listen to, you want to listen to like high level people. There are people who are pretty successful themselves. And I learned this from Grant Cardone. I know that this isn't one of the three, but Grant Cardone was like, stop, basically stop learning from poor people. And he classifies poor people as anybody under a billion. And that's because we have access to the information of all these people worth billions of dollars or a billion plus dollars. And so, why would you listen to somebody at the lower level when you could listen to somebody at the highest level? Which makes total sense, right? At the same time, there is some instances where people don't realize that they need to crawl before they walk. I didn't realize that myself. I actually just started walking and didn't do the crawling shit. And so when people realize this, this is the crazy part that we get into is that, again, Alex Hormozy, the way I came across him was through a gym book. And who would have thought that the gym guy would make such an immense impact in the business industry as a whole? And all the people that I'm really talking about are business based, except for the third person. The third person is not so much business based. And I might give you an extra few only because I could see them right here. And I'm in love with everybody that I have here. I'm in love with all their information. And so when it comes down to it, Alex Hormozy gives you the playbook on what you need to know when it comes to business, from creating that offer, going way in depth into the offer stuff, to getting some leads, because there's only a few ways to get leads. So you got to figure out which way is the way that you want to do to get leads, right? And this social media is one of them, content creation, right? Is one of them. Now, the trick here is to actually put the information into action. Most people won't put the information into action. They'll have the information. I've been there. I've been somebody who has all the information, but never applied the information. And then so it's like, okay, great. I'm this mastermind with all this information, but I haven't even applied a single piece of information. So how masterful can I be if I'm not practicing what I preach, if you will, in that sense? I could preach to you, hey, the advice, hey, go and call your credit company every 6 months and you could ask for a credit limit increase. But if I don't share that with you and I'm keeping it to myself, or if I don't even practice that methodology of, call my credit companies every 6 months, then it's like I'm doing myself a disservice, number one, and doing you guys a disservice, number two, right? So that's a trick for you guys. Go do that. But so it's like Alex Hormozy gives, like gives all the information because his objective is to get you to be 3 million plus dollar company, and that's who he's looking to invest into. And so if you're anywhere 3 million or below, he's not interested. So what does that mean? He has to make information available for you, or provide you with information to get you to that arena of where he's looking to invest. And so it's like he's his objective is to make you a multi-million dollar business. And so if you're paying attention, that is a possibility for you. Of course, there's levels to where your satisfaction level is. Some of you might be satisfied with 400. Some of you might be satisfied with a million. Some of you might be satisfied with 10, 100, a billion. So that also depends on you, right? Of where's your satisfaction level. And to tell you the truth, if you are satisfied with, like, let's say, $1 million, and that's the quality of life that makes you feel the freest and all that stuff, then that's great. You're out of the game. But there's some people that they just need more and more and more. And so like they wish they could quit the game, but they're so addicted to the game that doesn't allow them to quit. And that's also something that Alex mostly talks about. And what I like about him is that he is very practical in his words. Words mean a lot to him, right? He's very particular with his words because he wants to make sure that you understand everything that he's saying. So he breaks down the words when he realizes that he says uh, a, a word that's too high of a vocabulary. He just breaks it down into simple English. So that's the best part about him is because he wants you to be educated and understand the information, right? It's about being informed buyer versus being an uninformed buyer. It's like again, the doctor could speak to you in all the specific ways of the specific thing that's called of what you're dealing with and what happens, or he could just say, "Hey, so when you swallow, it's hard to swallow because your throat is closing up." Or he could say whatever the fuck the super scientific terms are of everything that's going on. And then you look at him and be like, What the fuck are you talking about, doc?" And then he has to break it down into plain English, anyways. And so people who are able to break high complex topics into plain English are my bread and butter because at the end of the day, if you could regurgitate what you learn, it's way better than not being able to. And so, if off the first attempt or the first listen, you're able to regurgitate some information and teach it, that's way more valuable than just not doing that. You should be a student and a teacher at the same time. All right, but that's enough about that. Let's move on to number three because I got some honorable mentions, if you will, that I would like to get to. And so we have forbidden knowledge, right? So we got 4BK. And so forbidden knowledge is actually really amazing. So this is where we get into the realm of I don't know, like I guess it's more spiritual mindset, historical. I mean, it's a bunch of information, right? Depending on the day, the night that you tune in, you might get some crazier information. But so what Mr. Billy Carson talks about, the legend, he gives you the reality of what it is. So he's had plenty of predictions. That's plenty that came true, plenty that probably haven't come true. But I mean, that's the game that we play, right? Is sometimes we predict things, but we really hope that they're wrong. And sometimes we get proven wrong, which is great, and sometimes we get proven right, which is great, I guess, like to be right. But so like many years ago, he predicted that or told the world that the Egyptian pyramids were actually far deeper than what we expected. Like, that uh, maybe it was like 9 months ago or something like that, where it came out that, oh, like there's like stupid long columns that go all the way deep, deep down in the ground. And these are all attached to the pyramids. Well, Billy talked about that, and people said it was blasphemy. And I want you to pay attention because when it comes down to what he talks about, it's such a touchy subject that a lot of people, they because he has some buzz, they want to go ahead and like use that clout, if you will. And so there was a little bit of a run, if you will, against him of how he didn't say things properly or combat things properly. Meanwhile, it seemed more like an ambush at the time. And so this person keeps running with it. And then if you pay attention, you should know the psychology of people. And we'll give you somebody who'll give you some decent psychology um, of a book that you know of already. And so it's like you could tell that this was something that's being forced, some random dude that just apparently got famous out of nowhere. And so it's like the best part about that is that it shows you that, okay, what he's talking about, it touches a lot of chords. And you could see that even some people who used to work for the Vatican and stuff are vouching for the information that he puts out. And so if those people are vouching for him, and if other people are really so hateful that they're doing everything they can to run his name through the mud, then that means that there's some value in what he's saying. And some value is an understatement. And so with Forbidden Knowledge, Billy Carson, he talks a lot about esoteric game and how basically inner and outer game. And so we have alien stuff, alien technology, all that stuff, right? Or um, just natural occurrences that happen in the world today. But if you really about it, just go check it out. You'll be pleasantly surprised, and maybe you'll be like, yeah, this is so crazy that might break your reality, honestly. So take it with a grain of salt. If you're somebody who's not ready for the truths of the world, then maybe Billy Carson is not for you, because there is plenty of truths in the world. And the thing with truths, they make total sense. It's like, interesting, you're right. Like that, it just makes total sense. So like it can't be any other way. It's like, okay, well, the sun, it comes out, it hits some leaves, and then photosynthesis happens, and then boom, we get oxygen. And then what happens is we breathe in that oxygen, and then we let that shit go. And then apparently we make carbon dioxide, where the plants use that carbon dioxide to create the same process all over again. So it's very interesting how the ecosystem just works together so smoothly and so flawlessly, in a way that there is nothing that is here by accident. Everything that's here has a purpose. Even if you look around the room, it's like that's paper, that's paper. There the walls and everything is built out of wood, so that's from tree, right? And so it's like this desk that is right here, that's from a tree. So it's like, again, everything coincides so well. Nothing can never be destroyed nor created, as they say. So it's like everything is already here. And so it's like the computers and all this technology that we have in our hands and shit like that. It's like this stuff is been here, right, for a long time, and it hasn't changed. It's maybe transmuted into a different form on some alchemy shit, but it has never actually been destroyed. Think about that. All right, let me give you some honorable mentions. So the two that I have here, and it's really hard, honestly. Um, so we have Pace Morby, legend, right? So Pace Morby, he talks about this. This is where I get if not everything, all my real estate information really comes from him. And so he has this group, it's called Sub 2, if you guys didn't know about it. But basically, it's all about creative financing, and that stems into realms of everywhere, right? So you could creatively finance a car, you could do that to a house, you could do that to a business. Like universally, everything that could be sold could basically be creatively financed. And so that stems into the realm of, well, actually, you don't need banks. That's not a thing necessarily. And that was a thing that happened recently. But this seller finance stuff was a thing that existed for a long time ago, for a long time. And so there's multiple different ways to get into real estate, just using a little bit of creative financing. So to tell you, um, I guess one ability of creative financing, besides the classic seller financing, is something that you probably are familiar with. And then you have the conventional bank loan, is something that you're probably familiar with, right? But what about combining the two together? That is where we get into the realm of subject to, which is subject to the existing mortgage, which means is somebody has got a loan on this property. Well, there's two documents. There's a note and then there's a deed. These two documents are separate. The deed says who owns the property. The note says who owns the debt. Two separate things, right? And so you could sign the deed over and you don't necessarily have to sign the note over. Of course, there's a lot of details and paperwork that you have to face in order to make that happen. But again, it's all paperwork, right? So if you're able to figure out the paperwork, then you'll be able to figure everything else out. And so before I even went into this creative financing thing, I was actually a loan signing agent. And that's where I started understanding more about the real estate paperwork, if you will. And so this it unlocked so much opportunity because now it's like there's certain words, keywords that you could input. I'll probably make a whole separate video just on this because it's there's many keywords that you could use, and I could just make a whole video about it, and we'll be here for like 30 minutes an hour just like on keywords. And so there's keywords that you could use in order to find these specific properties. And that's super helpful, right? Okay. Anyways, that's the legend Pace Morby. Let's go into the last and final guy. Only because it's like I saw him pop up and I'm such a big fan of my boy, not my boy, but the legend, rest in peace, Reverend Ike. And so Reverend Ike has put me on a lot of stuff in terms of the mind game. And so Reverend Knight gets again mindset spirituality, similar to Billy Carson, except more biblical based. And so when it comes to the Bible is a book of psychology, more so, right? As he would say. And so depending on how you use it, could depend on the psychology you have. You could have negative psychology or you could have positive psychology based on how you see things, how you perceive them, right? And so it's all based on a point of view. And so if you have the point of view of being such a worm and you're not worthy of whatever it is that you're looking to receive, then, well, according to your faith, shows how shall it be. You're a worm. You don't deserve that shit. So kick rocks, right? Or you could, the way he was preaching back in the day, because you are God. Let's just say what it is. You are a God in the flesh. And so you are God in action. So whatever action you take is God working through you. And you are the creator. You are created from the creator, which was created from the image of the creator. So what would that make you? A creator. And yet we are here being taught that you are a born sinner. You are a born winner, actually, is what it really is. And so Reverend Knight gives you the game of showing you the Bible in his perspective, in his point of view. And then you could apply that to yours. There's a lot of different, visualization treatments, some testimonials of people, changing their mindset and stuff like that. But all in all, there is such a wealth of information when it comes to this day and age. It's like even 10 years ago, right? YouTube's been around for like 20 years almost now. And so for a long time, we've had the ability to go ahead and use YouTube the right way, but we use it the wrong way because we think YouTube is just a social media. But it's not a social media. It's more so a search engine because it's a video Google, if you will. And Google is the OG search engine, and Google is the one who owns YouTube. So why did they make it in this certain way? Because YouTube is a video search engine, and that's why it's such a game changer. So anything that you really want, just how do I dot dot dot, and I'm sure there's plenty of resources for you to look at. And of course, you can be picky, be choosy, because a lot of people are not for you. You might listen to how they speak, and you're like, you might not like Alex Becker. You might listen to him speak and be like, I don't like this dude. Fuck him. You might listen to Alex Hormozy and be like, man, fuck this gym bro. You might listen to Reverend Ike and be like, man, this guy crazy with the way he talks about God and all that. Where God? What the fuck he talking about? Pace Morby might be like, yeah, this sounds illegal. We'll look it up because IRS subject to is actually a real thing. It's literally on the government website. So maybe you should think about it differently. But also, maybe go ahead and learn from the government instead of learning from the person, right? And so all these people, right? Alex Becker, Alex Rosie, they're valuable, but they might not be your person, right? Your person might be somebody else. And that's okay too. Like, just find your person and listen to their guidance and see where it takes you. At the end of the day, it might steer you the right way, it might steer you the wrong way, but you never know unless you, I hate try. You never know unless you attempt it, unless you do it. And when you do it, you gain the experience of life of, okay, this was for me and this was not for me. Because everybody is different, right? If I tell you, hey, putting the sandwich together, you put it like this. You put the cheese, you put the meat, and then you put the bread on top. But what about the bread on the other side? What about the mayo, right? I didn't tell you to do all that. So maybe my sandwich is not for you. And then you look at another person, they're like, all right, take the bread out. You slap the mayo on there, salt pepper that motherfucker, throw some cheese, throw the meat, throw another piece of cheese, slap some salt pepper and some mayo on the other side of the bun, slap tomato, slap some onions, slap some lettuce, and make a fucking crazy sandwich, right? And then you're like, hey, I like that one better. Good. Find the people who work for you. It's your choice. So you get to decide that. You get to decide who's for you and who's not for you. So make those choices wisely.